Welcome to Making It Here. Today we're here with Ashley with Catelowna Cafe. This is my co-host.
Selina.
Yeah. So here we are once again in your incredible cat cafe. I have to say, this is like a cat lover's dream. And there's, I don't know how many uncountable numbers of furry felines that are in every nook and cranny, literally inside the chair, inside the table, underneath and overhead on the balconies. So
on the table any second.
Yeah. We already had a little spill where they took out everything, almost everything on the table in a moment. So we like to do things a little differently with these podcasts. We really like to get to the heart and soul and to question how this all came to be. So Making It Here is about right from the beginning to the present and the future. So tell us about how you grew up. How did you grow up and become you to
How
make
did
it
I
to
grow
here?
up?
Yeah.
My origin story is a little complicated, I guess some would say. I was born in Malta to a Maltese mother and an American father.
Wow.
And they met in Libya because my dad was an oil man in the 70s. And we then moved, so I moved to Norway when he set up North Sea exploration. And then we moved to England and where he died. So we just stayed in England, which is where I'm educated and got the accent.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not actually English. Don't tell anyone.
My goodness.
So so I moved to England when I was 9 years old, and I left when I was 27, and I moved to the States. And the grass is always greener. I fell in love with a Canadian and moved up here. And I always thought I was going to have a gas station that would convert cars from gasoline, because I just saw we used to have this paperweight when I was a child from the first bit of oil that came out of the North Sea, and it was this big rig with this tiny little tube down to the bottom of the sea with a little bit of oil in it. And I always thought that was really sad, that we were just literally sucking the juice out of the earth. And it's one of my earliest memories. And so as growing up, I did engineering at Oxford for a year, and thinking that I would try and come up with some way of converting, using less oil. And so I always thought I was going to have a gas station that would convert cars from oil to water or something. And then I just always had a love of food, so I would have a cafe next to it. And while people waited for their cars to be converted, they could wait and have a nice cup of tea and a cake or something. And so when I was going through a little transition a few years ago, I just got to the root of, okay, so what do I really want to do? This is it. And when I was a teenager, I always thought I was going to have a gas station next to a cat cafe. But what do you really want to do? Well, I want to work with animals. I want to try and find a way for all of these homeless animals to find homes. And so I was like, instead of a gas station, why don't I just do an adoption centre next to a cafe, and then make the adoption centre like really cozy, not like, a regular stereotypical shelter that smells of bleach and all the animals are unhappy. Make it comfortable, very home-like, so the animals would relax and feel like they're at home, and then people could have a nice cup of tea and a cake and sit and enjoy the space and really get to know the animals they're about to be that they want to adopt. And the resurrender rate would be reduced, because when I first moved to Catelowna, I volunteered at the SPCA, and I was pretty shocked at the resurrender rate. And it just doesn't make for happy animals to be shunted from one home to another. So, and that's really how the idea was born. I was gardening at the time, and it was like, oh my God, it was a light bulb moment. I could have an adoption centre next to a cafe. And it didn't take me long to realise it wasn't an original idea. and that cat cafes were actually a thing. I mean, even when I was gardening, I realised, because I was thinking more along the dog line of things, like to help dogs, but I wanted to help all animals, because even if I do a cafe, I could have a parking lot, or where I could do adoption days for other animals.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be all encompassing, but I realised that the model would work best for cats. And then that would lead into helping other animals find homes. But let's just focus on the cats. And then I went online, and yes, so I found out that cat cafes were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I then just absorbed myself into research, and I just Googled every single cat cafe around the world to see how they were doing it. And the more and more I researched, the more I realised I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. Yeah, so all of my experience, going to university and, writing business plan and all that kind of stuff, it all kind of came to the front that I could, yeah. So that's really how it all started. And then, I had a dog at the time, and so I didn't feel, how can I run a cat cafe when I don't have a cat myself? I used to have cats when I was a child, and I went to do my volunteer shift at War and Peace Bunny Sanctuary 4 days later, and she said, Ashley, I've had this mum cat and 5 kittens handed in. They were found in the forest. I've got nowhere to put them. I know you've got a spare room. Would you? I was like, foster them? I would love to. And so that was kind of an indication from the other force that's around that I was headed in the right direction. And COVID was great in some ways because it put a stop to all my plans, and it really made me think what was important, and really to focus in on more about the cats, and to put the cats first as opposed to the cafe food side of things. And as soon as I put the cats first, everything just kind of fell into sync, and I found this great space.
So what brought you to Catelowna itself as a location for yourself to begin with, and then the cafe?
It has the least amount of rainfall in the whole of Canada. That's how I came to Catelowna.
Okay.
The least amount of what?
Rainfall.
It's got the minimum. It's got the minimum amount. It's the minimum rainfall. So when I met my Canadian husband in San Francisco, we knew we were going to move up here. He's from the East Coast, and it was okay. So where should we move to? And he wasn't so into rain, and I definitely wasn't, coming from England, and wanted to live somewhere temperate. And so I literally Googled where in Canada has the minimum amount of rainfall, and Catelowna was top of the list. And then I looked at pictures and saw the beaches, and that it was near water body, because I wasn't quite sure about being inland. I didn't really want a big city, and Catelowna just made sense in so many ways. And it's been great to me. I've really liked Catelowna. I mean, it's gorgeous, and there's lots of space, and Catelowna's been really, really good to me. So it felt good to set up this type of business so that I could give back to the community.
So you have an incredible selection of goodies and drinks and sweets, and here's a couple of them. And these are all your creations as well, I understand.
Yes. Yes, when I looked at when I came up with the idea and I was formulating the business plan, lots of cat cafes do focus on different things, and some just do bubble tea and no food, and some don't do anything at all. They just have a vending machine. But what I also did was I looked through all of the reviews of all the cat cafes to see what were the major complaints, what were people unhappy about, so that I could address them straight away.
Smart.
And one of the major ones was I thought there was going to be more food. I know when I went to my first cat cafe, I was starving. and they had cat macaroons, and I'm like, oh, you know, disappointment travels faster than excitement, unfortunately, and I just wanted to nip any disappointment in the bud before it happened. So supplying at least a little bit of proper food, like sustenance, nothing kind of junky, so that, you know, people like me who were just starving, and you're coming to a cafe, there is already an expectation there set.
Yes.
And if you don't meet people's expectations, they're going to be disappointed. So serving a great cup of coffee was important. And snacks, mostly, you know, we do sell a little bit of food. It's been interesting as, you know, the first few months working out what kind of food people want, because they're not coming here for the food.
No.
And
so you're kind of
and food, and the food and beverage business, you are your waste. I mean, your profits end up. You don't want your profits ending up in the trash.
No.
So working out what was going to work to minimize waste.
There's only so many cookies that you can eat before they.
Yeah, exactly. So the plant-based food has been quite popular because there are so many, and doing quite a few items that are gluten-free and dairy-free has really been working. So you hit a wider array of people by sticking to that kind of food. Plus, it's my preference.
I noticed a lot of places, it seems like they aim for high fat or high sweetness, and often when I come here I get a drink that's delicious and unique, as well as a meal that's not large but you feel satisfied and like your body's fed. Very often I'll have like a wrap, one of the nice fogs, and something like one of your brownies or cheesecakes just stands out as a really well-rounded meal without a great cost. And then, of course, the bonus is you're getting to come to one of the only cat cafes within hundreds of miles, especially one that offers such space, and a space away from the city, too. I think the second floor, being out of that traffic, out of the rush of the city, you feel like you're getting a little vacation actually coming here. And I think that's really special compared to the many, many shops, wineries, fast-moving places that you're kind of amidst the rush still. You go in and you know that you've only got so much time because you're part of the pack of people that are flowing in and out. And I think the way that you've structured this really allows a person to take a pause. Do you want to talk about how you've done that?
I think we also have to give credit to the subject matter. I mean, all of these cats in this environment, they do give off a vibe. And that is the beauty about cat ownership, is that you can have this vibe in your home. And en masse like this as well, we have just over 30 cats at the moment here. And with that collective pheromones, you do automatically come in and feel relaxed. There is something special that happens in this forest room. I don't know whether it's because of the makeshift tree or I found that fabulous wallpaper that gives the feeling that you're outside. But I also did copy the trick in San Francisco jazz clubs where they paint everything like a sage green because it's supposed to be the more relaxing colour. And it was just so fortunate that I found this can of paint for $5 at Rona.
So it was meant to be again.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I really wanted to go. I just picked up things all along the way, and they've all come together in here. Like being able to. It was funny when I first extended. When I was looking for a contractor, because we needed to build a wall and things. He was asking what's my budget and what's my design. And I'm like, well, the design is really whatever. I didn't really want to say to him, well, it's whatever I can find and recycle, because contractors don't like that word, recycle. Because obviously there is stuff that you have to buy new, the drywall and the framing and stuff like that for the wall movement. But things like flooring, I don't think he really realised that I could go onto Facebook Marketplace, or I could go to the Restore, or that I could find everything that I needed for this cat room secondhand, or even salvaged, or I mean the booths and the tables in the cafe, they came from a parking lot from a hotel renovation, and they're covered in snow. And so the snow off and put them in my garage to dry off. So it was really what I found, but still I wouldn't take anything that I knew wasn't going to fit. But it all kind of came together as I found stuff. It was like, oh, that could work there, and oh, that could work there. And really there wasn't that much. There was a couple of things, and if nothing was going to come in here unless I had a home for it. So it was all quite orchestrated that way, and it all came together.
There you go.
Yeah. And fortunately, my roommate, he was in a car accident, so he couldn't work, unfortunately. But fortunately for me, he was able to work here for 3 or 4 days, just giving some consult, and he put the tree up, and I mean he wasn't able to do much, obviously, because his knee was gimpy, but he was a huge help. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, I'm looking at even like these shelves, like those were just those cube shelves that people give away for free, and I just chopped it. I mean, I'm pretty handy, so I painted everything and I put stuff together.
I've been
to keep the cost down.
Yeah. Well, good for you. I've been seeing you work in this place from the moment that we were introduced, and it's how long have you been open now?
We opened June 22nd, so we're coming up to our 6-month anniversary next week.
Yeah.
Oh, is it flown?
Amazing.
It's just flown.
That's a milestone.
Yeah.
And you're also working with other local craftspeople and producers, like some great juice.
Yes,
and,
some fabulous juice. Everybody just loves the juice.
Wonderful. And some 3D printing and some clothing and print artists. And
yeah, it was really important to me to use local people to promote local artists. I've never really been a fan of Made in China. I think it's important to support what's going on locally, support your community.
Yes.
And everybody loves, because it's just quite an eclectic little boutique store. Everything is quite cat themed, obviously.
The office is being gradually torn apart.
Well, we've had they haven't been allowed in the office recently. So they're kind of making up for it now. The boys work it out after a while. Stephen and George, they don't really like each other. I'm not surprised it was those two.
So many personalities to come together in one space. Has it been a learning curve to actually foster such a group that's all sharing a space for the first time? How's that been?
Yeah.
I mean, the people and the animals.
Yes. But yes, I'm learning something new every day. It feels like it's all again happening quite organically. I have a pretty good instinct for things. Even how the cats are introduced kind of happened organically. We get the odd little meow, 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 but nothing. It's been really quite, touch wood. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get a tomcat here at some point, because you really don't know what the cats are going to be like until they get into into the cafe environment, when they are with all these other cats. But they get to know each other in quarantine. So there's between 10 and 15 cats introduced to each other in quarantine for 2 weeks. So they get to know each other there. And then they arrive in the cafe in that group. So it's not like I'm introducing 1 or 2 cats that
into
then
a big gang
are open to being picked on by the rest of the colony. They're arriving in their own colony. So it's not a case of 1 or 2 can be picked on. The cats that are already here, I mean, obviously I can't read cats' minds, but they're not going to pick on a whole colony. And so the arrival. So they take about a day to do some kind of organisational restructuring, which is why I close on a Monday. But by Tuesday morning, pretty much everything is okay. The shy ones are just watching for a few days. The confident ones are out investigating.
Strutting.
Yeah. And then the residents that were here before are just watching the new cats, and it hasn't been too bad. Yeah.
Nice.
I think I've been pretty lucky.
Hmm.
The rescue centres I work with, they know what cats they have and what would work well in this situation. And so they tend to send me really great cats. They send, every now and again, they'll send me a feral cat for rehabilitation. We've rehabilitated 6 ferals so far because they watch and they see what that humans aren't too bad and that we've got a lot of love to give, and they slowly get more confident and come out of their shells. But on the whole, they send me cats that are ready for it, that need homes.
I thought that it's probably something that's a wonderful transition from many times difficult circumstances, and then they get to have this really cat heaven. I mean, anybody that's been around shelters or any kind of pretty much anywhere where there's animals that need taken care of or trying to find homes, it's not a very good scene. And behind the scenes is an even uglier story. And the amount of animals that are unnecessarily euthanized or abused or just living out their life in very traumatic circumstances is really a horrific thing, I think, worldwide. The worst being where we have kitten mills and we have animal fighting like for wages, and we have people eating animals. And so sort of having this incredible space that animals are able to come and they can actually have a bit of a haven, and then they get to go to a new owners where they don't have to worry about other cats even. They're just able to really have the pleasure and the mutual synergy of a peaceful, healthy life. And I think, of course, all people, but all of the domesticated animals should have that. And so often as a society, I think we're paying lip service to that idea, but we're not actually making sure it happens. So seeing you make that happen is always an inspiration, even in my mind, to know, here's animals that are being given a really, really great life from having interacted with what you do. Do you have, I always think the heart of a business rests on the principles that it's carrying with it, that's underpinning each decision, each step. Do you have some principles that you're working with? You get up in the morning and say, I'm continuing this because that's what's right.
I haven't thought of it in the term of principles.
Policies or ideals.
But you pick and choose their owners. You sort of have that feeling, right? For whether the cat is suited to the people, that they're going to go to.
Yes.
So that sort of.
It comes back to when it comes to finding a home, there has to be a couple of us that agree that a couple of us have to meet with the prospective with the adopters, and we did from day one. After about the second visit, we introduced a policy that people have to come back for a second visit, because it can be so overwhelming coming in here, and you see people's eyes just open. They've never been around so many cats. It's really difficult to choose. And so we did ask, we have a set of questions, just try and find out a little bit more about the people that are coming. If people are serious, then we do extend an invite to come back for a second time. And it's, not everybody does come back for that second time. But if they do come for the second, then we know that they're serious and they've gone home, they've slept on it, They've thought about, different cats. And then when they come back in, we ask them questions on becoming about their lifestyle and whether that cat would fit. And we come from the cat's view. Sometimes too much. But the main principle has always been, put the cat first. And so what gets me up in the morning is, I need to get them fed. I need to give a couple of them medication. Just make sure that they're okay. And as long as I keep that in the forefront of my mind, everything else kind of falls into place. So, and just be caring, be open, be relaxed, and yes, and everything will be okay.
They sound like wonderful principles to me.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just and then hopefully, and then hopefully the landlord did say that I could use the parking lot in the summer for dogs. So to do
be a whole new
dog adoption
horizon.
days. So the principles. So I guess instead of saying the animals just have to come first, we are caregivers. I mean, they are in so many supply because of our failures, human failure. So it's no fault of their own. So if you put them first.
Well, I used to laugh in Peachland when I did papers in the middle of the night, because sometimes when people own things and the cats would fight, and they're very protective. But I did papers at 2:00 in the morning, and all those same cats were out on the street hobnobbing with each other with no fighting. And I was thinking, so is it the people that encourage them to like ownership and stuff that make them? Because that was always a shock.
Animal ownership is such a strange thing. Yeah. But they're here now, and so they need taking care of. Yeah. Isn't it strange?
It wasn't. And I used to think those guys are fighting in the daytime with their owners, and now here they are, all like having a little cat thing
talking
on the
to
street.
each other.
Yeah, exactly, and not fighting.
Not fighting. Yeah, it's I just recalled yesterday. I looked over at the water fountain, and there were 6 cats around it, and as if they were chatting to each other over the water fountain. It was
like a water break.
Yeah, it was funny. They communicate beyond our knowledge.
I think many people say, oh well, things can't get along, you're going to have to always have a separation. But to me, this is a great testament to, every walk of life, animals coming together, young, old, male, female, and they all kind of figure it out. And I think it's kind of a really healthy thing also for humans to learn how to work that out. I mean, we have the perfect example in nature. We can work our problems out. We can work our differences out. And I think some people think the solution is to kind of separate, to distance themselves from adversity or from people and things they don't understand. And yet nature shows that things can be worked out if we give it a chance, and we work together. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, here as well also, I mean, I did design in the loosest term of the word. I knew I wanted lots of high space, lots of hiding spots, because a lot of cats like to go high, some like to go low. So as long as I have a spot where 30 cats can disappear to, so and each have their own territory. And so that, like, I got an 8.5-year-old. He's found his little shelf over there. Nobody goes and messes with him. And then somebody else has chosen, like, up the top there.
I need to see the tail.
Yeah. So they all have their little spots.
Place that they feel
so
secure.
Having your own space, just like humans, having your own space and creating your boundaries is important. And the cats, they work it out.
So as you've gone through this now 6 months, how have you addressed with some of the adversity that you've had arise? If you've had, I'm guessing you may have.
Well, I mean, we had the fires August 15th, which just took an end to the tourist season, which I guess we lost about a month of business.
Yeah, I feel like it was 2 months almost overall.
Yeah, and I looking at revenue streams against your costs and just making really hard decisions. But putting the sustainability of the business is the most important thing, because if it doesn't happen, then I can't take care of the cats. I'll find the cats homes. So increasing revenue streams. So I've started the programs. We're doing yoga now and paint nights, and we did the decorating the Christmas ornaments. I've had to let some staff go. I'm doing more hours. It's you just tackle things on a day-to-day basis, keeping the bigger picture as your driving force. And it helps that I'm also, a chef and a cook, so that I can tweak both sides of the business and that I can work in both areas, which has also really helped, because that's where some cat cafes have failed. Either it's been a chef,
front-end or a back-end problem.
Yeah, the chef that wants that's using the cats as a gimmick to bring more business to the restaurant, or it's been an animal lover who doesn't really understand the finesse of the food and beverage business, because only 4% of food and beverage businesses exist. So I'm just fortunate that I have rescue experience and I have food and beverage business, so that I can kind of tweak things as they go. And I think I can do more in reducing my costs in terms of outreach for food and litter and the expenses surrounding the cats, but there's nothing I can do about the vet bills.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, yes, and cats' eyes, they play, fight, they get into things. It's the things that I didn't think were going to be an issue. Like I'm going to work with rescues. I'm just going to get a bunch of healthy cats. But I didn't really fully realize that en masse like this, the little things that can turn up. And the rescue centres, they cover, the vaccinations and the spays and things like that. But it's the little things that happen actually in the cafe. And I'm here to support the rescue centres. That was my whole aim. If I do have revenue to spare, I'd rather go towards the mission, which is to help the rescue so they can help more cats. So it's not really, I never really got into it. I just wanted a nice job helping animals. I obviously did not get into this business to retire into the Bahamas or anything.
Well,
it's not
And your dogs, will you get them from the rescue places as well?
Pause it. Yeah, I've already been talking to Pause It Forward. Yeah, it wouldn't be like a setup like this. It would be kind of a day event where they do dog adoption days, like they do at
and just bring them here and let
stores.
people.
Yeah. Not in the cafe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That would be a whole other
didn't even cross my
I
mind.
did have somebody ask if they could bring their dog.
Oh.
I did. I promise. Somebody called me and said, "Can I bring my dog?" And I'm like,
not today.
No. We do. I mean, I do have a little Chihuahua, and I do bring him in if somebody wants if serious about adopting, and they have a dog. We do have 2 dogs that come in to test the kitties out, just to make sure how they react to the dog. So yeah, we're really serious. Looping back to that question, we are really serious about making true matches, but the final decision is done by the rescue centres. We are literally just facilitating a space where adopters can meet the cats that are
and you
from the
don't
rescue
actually,
centres.
you just put in your input, but you don't make the final decision.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
you think you guys would be better at it since you've seen them?
We yes, well, if we don't think it's a match, we nip the idea in the bud here by gently illustrating to the potential adopter that they might not be the best fit for this cat. And I have actually, even though it was the rescue centre, I have actually interjected on one springs to mind specifically where I really didn't think that cat should have gone to that home. And they still submitted an application, and I kind of made my... the rescue centre was great. They were like, so did you hear, did they come back for their second visit? And I went, yes, they came back for their second visit, and I kind of outlined what I thought. And then I just wasn't happy, and I just had to nail it in.
Yeah.
And that's and they trust my judgment. So in that circumstance, they then turned the person down. So I take care of these cats. I'm completely invested in them and their happiness. I want to be 100% happy about where they're going. So generally, I've just been trusting the process and knowing that the right person for that cat comes along. And the success stories have just been wonderful. Some of the cats that were here are just living their best life.
I can see it.
They're just living their best life and considering where they came to. But yeah.
So, a closing question that I like to ask sometimes is, where do you see this as a legacy that you're building? Where do you see? Because I mean, you may not do this forever, but what do you see as the future that you've built from all this effort, or that you're going towards, or hope to have?
In terms of legacy, I would love this to still be here, even when I retire or whatnot, because there is no central place where people in the Okanagan can meet cats. And it's proving its worth. We've done over 82 adoptions in 6 months. So, and this is just the beginning. Like, people are still finding out about us. So I would hope that it carries on, that it looks this good in 5-10 years time.
Well, I know I'll be in the area,
because the cats will keep coming.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of these rural areas, there's no spay and neuter or no vet available, so there's never going to be a shortage of cats, unfortunately.
Well, it's a wonderful experience here every time I come, and
thank you.
I'm certainly going to keep showing up.
Great.
So, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Join your beautiful
Thank
space.
you so much. Yes.
Nice to have you.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much.
That's making it here.